Now, there's no doubt about it that 2025 is full of expensive failures when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe under Marvel Studios via Disney, anything ranging from Captain America 4 to all the drama happening with that film, such as reshoots, rewrites, etc., as well as the controversy surrounding Blade for 2025. There's a lot more also going into Thunderbolts. We'll have a lot more to talk about that later on in the month, but what's interesting about all this further is that we know that there's been a lot of things going on with Deadpool 3 revolving around Ryan Reynolds, and of course, let's not forget about everything happening with the reshoots that are still set to happen by this April leading into May. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Ryan Reynolds is that we know that he is very similar to Henry Cavill in a sense, where he does defend the fandom, he defends the source material and what's right for the story that they are involved in. Now, everything ranging from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We know that coming out of the Marvels, which by the way was one of the biggest failures of all time for the MCU, for Disney in 2023, and what's worse than actually having that happen on their 100th anniversary year. So now we have Deadpool 3, and what's been going on with this film in particular has a lot to do with many of the alterations happening with the film behind the scenes, so let's get into this, shall we? And how it does involve Jimmy Kimmel, the late-night TV host. Now, with Bob Iger and the rest at Disney beginning to head into full-on damage control with both Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios, one major development has to do with drama surrounding the third Deadpool film, after Ryan Reynolds has been making numerous changes to the movie after handing out multiple ultimatums to Bob Iger. One significant update involves late-night TV show host Jimmy Kimmel, after Reynolds recently got Disney to delete an entire scene featuring Jimmy Kimmel that was shot a couple of months ago that was initially promised by Disney to remain in the final cut of the film. It turns out now that Jimmy Kimmel is already creating unneeded drama behind the scenes toward not just Ryan Reynolds, after Ryan successfully convinced Disney to axe Kimmel's entire scene. This comes shortly after Kimmel refused to allow Ryan to make certain jokes on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show for this June to promote Deadpool 3 live on television. However, one shocking turn of events is that Ryan is convinced Bob Iger and Kevin Feige to, of course, cancel another scene that was planned for reshoots for this May that was also going to involve Jimmy Kimmel, where Kimmel was actually geared up to begin filming his scene on the set of the Jimmy Kimmel Live show that was going to involve both Wolverine and Deadpool crashing the late night show stage as they are fighting a new foe as they go throughout the multiverse and to different universes. The real world, of course, being one of the universes that Deadpool would go to, and something that Ryan Reynolds has been trying to explore. This scene was also axed as Kimmel, of course, is already reportedly raising hell toward Ryan Reynolds personally for the one responsible of convincing Bob and Kevin to deleting his scene altogether. Kimmel figured that his involvement in such a massive film would not only increase ratings for ABC altogether, but also for his show in particular, and this was the initial plan as well by Bob Iger and Kevin Feige. Now, Kimmel is now already demanding Reynolds to reason with Disney to reinstate his scenes, and it's already getting ugly behind the scenes, where Kimmel is also demanding Ryan to come back on the show, as in the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, for this June, regardless of restricting his jokes. Similar to the Joy Behar situation on The View, where Ryan stepped down, Kimmel blamed Reynolds that his jokes for the Jimmy Kimmel Live show dressed up as Deadpool were going to be way too offensive, and even Disney agreed. This is why Ryan's jokes were restricted from the show, which of course in turn caused the drama. However, this was the start of the divide between Reynolds and Kimmel that led to the cancellation of Jimmy's scenes as a way of getting back at the late night host. Some of the Disney heads viewed this as petty. However, the creators of Deadpool 3, such as writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick and director Shawn Levy, viewed this as Ryan defending his form of comedy and his self-respect to create the best film possible. Kimmel is now already beginning to take things up with Disney heads in an all-out battle to get Ryan to put his scenes back into the film. Even director Shawn Levy agreed with Reynolds, canceling the plans for reshoots that was going to include a second scene featuring Jimmy Kimmel that would also be around 1.5 minutes in length, witnessing a fight between Deadpool, Wolverine, and a new foe from another universe. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment. Now, basically why Kimmel is getting all bent out of shape about this, I think, is that not only is this guy so egotistical, it's just disgusting, but it's also due to the fact that he believed that his slot in Deadpool 3 on the big screen would improve his ratings for the Jimmy Kimmel live show. And like I said before, Bob Iger thought that this was going to be a thing. The rest over at Disney believed that this would help the Jimmy Kimmel live show. It's just becoming, a scenario where seemingly Bob Iger was trying to make Deadpool 3 nothing more than an advertisement for multiple Disney, partitions that they own. Such as, an ABC-run show, like, for example, the Jimmy Kimmel Live show. I'm glad that Ryan made these series of ultimatums that allowed Disney to cave and decide to cancel Jimmy's scenes altogether, including the one that was being planned and mapped out for reshoots, which, by the way, are happening by this April leading into May, but Jimmy Kimmel's scenes for the reshoots are no longer moving forward. So that's good news. The other thing is that I think at the end of the day, why would you even want Jimmy Kimmel involved in your movie to begin with? I think that what they should have done right from the get-go is to maybe get a retired late-night TV show host, such as Conan O'Brien or Jay Leno, somebody that's worthwhile, right? But no, Disney, since they own ABC, it makes a lot more sense now why they would want Kimmel in their movie. So moving onwards, alright, this was of course described to be a new variant of a popular X-Men character for the Jimmy Kimmel scene that Deadpool and Wolverine would fight on the set of the Jimmy Kimmel live show that was going to of course fight Deadpool and Wolverine in front of Jimmy Kimmel and interrupting the show. But Shawn Levy felt the dialogue forced by Kevin Feige was completely faulty in nature, and the breaking the fourth wall sequence was also at fault. So again, they wanted to use the real world as basically a large segment of the multiverse, and how Deadpool and Wolverine would be jumping from universe to universe, and eventually kind of finding themselves in our world, essentially, is what they wanted to do. And they still are doing that to a degree, but not to the same length that they were initially going for. And that had a lot to do with creative differences between Ryan and the Disney heads, and ultimately what got Kimmel's scenes axed, and rightfully so as far as I'm concerned. So again, I would love to really point this out again. We already talked about how he got She-Hulk scenes out and canceled from the actual movie, and how now Ryan Reynolds is chasing to get Henry Cavill to have a couple of scenes in there as a new variant of a specific character. We'll talk more about that in the next couple of days as well. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.